Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasati.
Hare Krishna. We're reading Bhagavad-gita and we're coming through the second chapter, contents of the Gita summarized. And you may know this because you may have watched previous episodes. I don't know. But we're reading this Bhagavad-gita that is translated by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Bhagavad-gita as it is. I will start from text 38. Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labhau jaya jayo tato yudhaya yudhyasva nevang papam avapsyasi. Do thou fight for the sake of fighting, without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing you shall never incur sin. So we cannot take this verse out of context, obviously. We have to consider what is right and what is wrong. But in this context, Krishna has already been spending quite some time explaining what is right and wrong, and this is the conclusion to that. I just wanted to say that. I will continue to read the purport. Lord Krishna now directly says that Arjuna should fight for the sake of fighting because he desires the battle. There is no consideration of happiness or distress, profit or loss, victory or defeat in the activities of Krishna consciousness. That everything should be performed for the sake of Krishna is transcendental consciousness, so there is no reaction to material activities. He who acts for his own sense gratification, either in goodness or in passion, is subject to the reactions, good or bad. But he who has completely surrendered himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness is no longer obligated to anyone, nor is he a debtor to anyone, as one is in the ordinary course of activities. It is said, Devarshi bhutap Tanrinang pitrinam nakinkaronayam rinicharajan sarvatmanaya sharanang sharanyang gato mukundang parihrittakartam. Anyone who has completely surrendered unto Krishna, Mukunda, giving up all other duties, is no longer a debtor, nor is he obliged to anyone, not the demigods, nor the sages, nor the people in general, nor kinsmen, nor humanity, nor forefathers. That is the indirect hint given by Krishna to Arjuna in this verse, and the matter will be more clearly explained in the following verses. Yes, so we have been speaking a lot about duty, and in one sense duty is a little bit of a foreign concept nowadays. We don't do things out of duty. We do things because we like to, or because we have to. We have to maybe work to have money enough to live. We like to take care of our family because we love them. And duty, free will is considered more important than duty. But there is absolutely no contradiction there. We make choices in life, but once we made our choices, we still have to fulfill that which is necessary to do. If we have a family, if we have children, it is our duty to take care of them. If we have a human body, it is our duty to develop spiritual life. And here we speak about debtors. We don't see it like that, but it's also a fact. We have been given this body by our parents. We have been given a place in life by society. We have been given everything we have from the demigods, from the devas, who actually are behind all the elements that we see. And ultimately everything comes from Krishna. So there is like a hierarchy in the sense of duty. If we take to spiritual life and fully surrender to Krishna, that's the completion of all the duties. If we don't do that, we have the structure for the Varnashram society, so that we pay our debts to everyone, because if we die, in that sort of debt, we come back in the next life to fulfill it, to give back. So we should have that knowledge. If we don't have that knowledge, this is all very confusing. First we hear about the spirit soul. That is the most important knowledge, because if we don't have that, at least a theoretical understanding of the fact that we as living conscious persons are now residing in one body, and through this body our consciousness is spreading. Through the senses we can interact with the external world and other people. At one point this body is finished, then the soul continues to the next body. We have to establish that understanding first, because otherwise nothing else will make any sense at all. Then we can understand in the Vedic society, especially at the time here when Krishna and Arjuna are talking to each other in the Bhagavad-gita, then there was an established structure of varnashram dharma where everybody did have their position quite clearly delineated, and they had certain duties that came along with that position in society. And there was no question of giving up your duty. And actually nowadays we don't have a clear picture of what is our duty. At the same time, mostly everybody does fulfill a certain duty. You go to work, you can't just come to work whenever you feel like it, unless you happen to be very, very rich. You have family, you can't just feed your children, every other day. There is a continuity, there is a steadiness, there is a platform that if we are not, dedicated to fulfilling our spiritual duties, we will be engaged in a material sense, because otherwise we will simply create a chaos for ourselves and for society. But when we come to the point of spiritual life, that duty takes precedence. That duty has a higher priority, because that is eternal. And yes, that is very important to understand. And the word duty is a little bit old-fashioned, but it doesn't mean that somebody comes and forces you to do something. It means you can find a certain peace and steadiness in knowing who you are and what you have to do. And then you can do that, and you can go deeper into your activities in a spiritual sense, especially when that duty is connected to Krishna. So that Srila Prabhupada came to America from India and founded the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, just to give us this knowledge, to give us this ability to take up that higher duty. And that will create the highest peacefulness, that will create the highest steady platform on which to live. And we can all do that, actually. We will not go out and fight in a battle, but we can pick up this attitude. Krishna is actually recommending this attitude, whether one is performing spiritual life or one is performing material duty. There is no consideration of happiness or distress, profit or loss, victory or defeat in the activities of Krishna consciousness, because we are not doing them for ourselves. We're doing them because it is what we are meant to do. And by performing Krishna conscious activities, this realization will grow. In the beginning, we read it in a book, it is a theory, it is a philosophy, it's something we hear about. But when we start to practice Krishna consciousness, we find that if we're able to give up consideration of happiness or distress, profit or loss, victory or defeat, and simply practice Krishna consciousness in a spiritual sense. So generally our Krishna conscious duties do not include getting up on a chariot and ride into the battlefield consisting of 64 million people with weapons. And I personally am very grateful for that fact. At the same time, we meet our own challenges every day. Sometimes people appreciate us, sometimes they don't. Sometimes we have enough money, sometimes we don't. Sometimes the weather agrees with us, sometimes it doesn't. we cannot be shaken by those things. We have to find a course to follow and not do it for this. I mean, if we strive to become famous or rich or something like that, and we fail, it will be very painful. But if we strive to find out who we are and maybe find out who we are in relation to God, we will still be doing activities, maybe even the exact same activities. We will still be, cooking on the stove and cleaning the house. But when we do it with the perspective of serving Krishna and realizing our spiritual identity, the result is totally different. And part of the secret is to be able to do it in this mindset, not doing it because of happiness and distress, profit or loss, victory or defeat, but simply doing it because this is spiritual life. And then we will find that our realization will grow. And that is what the Bhagavad-gita is giving us. And we have the full opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness here and now, wherever we are. It doesn't require very much. Maybe get a Bhagavad-gita. Maybe start to practice some aspect of the spiritual life. Maybe try to find, get in contact with other persons who are practicing in the same way. And then wherever we are, whatever our situation is, in this lifetime as a human being, we can fully realize our spiritual nature and go back home, back to Godhead. And, that's not a bad thing. That's pretty good. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam